Hey everyone, it's Kellen from Racer X again with another race examination video, this time from RedBud 1. And I wanted to start off today's video by talking about one of the cooler moments that happened from Friday's National. It was this first 250 moto start in which Ty Masterpool grabbed the hole shot, and you may have seen it right there as he went through the first corner. He put up a little, it looked like a fist pump initially, but as you look at the replay, he was actually pointing up to the sky, looking like he was holding up a number one signal, which is really cool. We've seen this happen a couple times. Travis Pastrana did it in a Supercross one year where he did a fist pump. Aaron Plessinger did it back at Budds Creek back in 2018. Just super excited to get the hole shot, but Masterpool himself actually told us why he did it after the race, and this is really cool. Listen to this.
Yeah, I mean, my whole amateur career, I've always been on stock bikes, and I have a great team behind me, like Star Racing Yamaha, so just ripped a hole shot and did that. That was for my older brother, for Jesse right there.
So his brother Jesse Masterpool, if you don't know the story, he actually lost his life riding a motorcycle back in 2010, was a amateur phenom in his own right for Suzuki. So Masterpool paying a little bit of respects to his older brother with a nice hole shot here at RedBud 1. Really cool, sentimental moment there, and he would lead most of the moto. I want to remind everybody that this video is presented by onX Off-Road. Know where to go with the #1 off-road GPS app. Access 400,000 plus miles of trails and roads, open dates, and public lands. Download the onX Off-Road app today. So one of the bigger storylines from RedBud 1 was Dylan Ferrandis' wild ride that ended up resulting in a pretty big crash here in Moto #1, and it ended up affecting the rest of his day. Now, I saw a lot of people also upset when he got up from this crash that he kind of cut across the track, but I've seen a lot worse track re-entries or getting up from crashes than this, and really the contact with Cher was more or less two ruts coming together, so I don't really think you can put fault there. But Ferrandis, I think, got very lucky that he missed his braking bump right here. He could have augered in a lot harder on this one, hit his head and shoulder a lot harder. He did hit the ground very hard, of course, but I feel it could have been worse. And Ferrandis talks after this about how much this affected his day.
Looked like a small crash, but I hit my head and it was a little bit dizzy. Hit my shoulder too, and yeah, I was in pain in Moto 1 and between the Moto 2. And when I did the sighting lap in Moto 2, honestly, I didn't know if I would be able to ride. And
so just again, here's an onboard perspective from Alex Martin on the first lap, watching Ferrandis go down in front of him. Very wild crash. And again, I think Ferrandis just got so lucky that he just went over that little braking bump on the downside there. But as you heard Ferrandis say that on the siding lap in Moto 2, he was a little concerned he might not be able to line up for the second moto. And it seems like maybe he was a little bit affected on the start. His reaction was a little bit slow here, and he ended up getting a dreadful start in the second moto and had to do a lot of work to claw his way back up into some good points paying positions. But as we watch this again in slow-mo, you can see he's pretty much flat out jumped by everybody around him. He's maybe even got the worst jump of everybody all the way down the start line. And as they pan to this shot here, you can see Ferrandis coming in at the very back, and as everything gets funneled up, he actually gets shuffled way back. He almost actually goes down because somebody else kind of stands up in front of him right there, and he actually has to almost come to a complete stop. A terrible start for Ferrandis in this moto, and he would have a lot of work to do to get up to the front again. Now, as Ferrandis was coming up to the front late in the race, he actually jumped LaRocco's leap over RJ Hampshire, and that was a fairly close call there, but you can see Ferrandis looking down, eyeing Hampshire the entire way to make sure that he's going to be okay, and lands about 5 or 6 feet to his left there. But I wanted to talk about LaRocco's leap in the sense of how much time was gained when you could do it versus not do it. Now, Jeremy Martin just stayed away from him pretty much all day long. He would scrub the leap as hard as he possibly could, but Shane McElrath in this battle in the second moto was continuing to go to the outside and jump the leap. So I wanted to break this down and see how much time he was gaining as they go off this table. The distance is fairly close at this point. You can see it's about 9/10 of a second between the two, but McElrath has to go all the way to this outside line to set it up, whereas Martin goes inside, so he gains some of that time back. But then McElrath jumping the leap, whereas Martin has to scrub it, and you can see the time gained here is that McElrath actually goes almost 7/10 faster by doing the leap and going to the outside. A huge time gain if you can do it on this 250F, which only a select handful of people were doing it on a 250F, mostly the Star Yamahas, of course, but McElrath making the most of that opportunity there. Now, more LaRocco's leap shenanigans, and when Adam Cianciarulo and Justin Barcia were squaring up in the middle of this battle here early in Moto 2, Barcia blew the outside of the corner as he was setting up to do the leap, and you can see how important it is to jump the leap that Barcia, from nearly a standstill at the bottom of the hill, still seat bounced it and got it. But he and Cianciarulo were in this heated battle, and you could see that Cianciarulo was trying to stay in front of Barcia. It all started here on the very first lap of the race when Cianciarulo coming up to the top of the hill here notices Barcia's coming to his outside, but Barcia's going to square him up in the this corner and actually make some pretty good contact, kind of shooting Cianciarulo off to the outside of the line right there. And lucky that Cianciarulo was able to stay up, because it really forced him to the very outside of the track, and he kind of had to paddle along the edge of the track right there. And then once Barcia blew the leap and had to pass Cianciarulo again, he once again kind of went a little out of his way to make sure he got Cianciarulo cleanly for this pass at the top of the hill, as he kind of just shoots to the outside and makes sure Cianciarulo doesn't go to that preferred line around the outside of the corner there. So some shenanigans between Barcia and Cianciarulo, but good fun in the end. And I want to leave you with this awesome outside line that Eli Tomac and Blake Baggett were doing in the second moto as we head into RedBud 2.
He can't afford to relax one bit. Tomac trying everything and anything.
That is impressive, the speed Tomac carries around that outside, but it's such a long distance, he doesn't make up a ton of...